crib, and...
No, Stretch.
Stretch?
Yeah, he's a superhero.
Oh, you changed your name?
No, I'm still playing a superhero, so that's what my name is right now.
Okay, well, hi, Stretch. I'm his Aunt Kiha, and...
No, and superhero.
Oh, I am a superhero.
Yeah.
Can you tell everybody why I'm covered in blood?
Because my dad was he was pretending he was cutting open her neck and blood was squirting out everywhere.
Everywhere?
Yes, it was pretty spectacular.
Spooktacular.
Yeah.
And this is just a quick little tutorial I wanted to do to learn how to make blood spurt from your neck.
Yes.
It's pretty dramatic.
Yes, traumatic.
And traumatic.
Yeah, traumatic.
But without further ado, you guys know what time it is. It's time to...
Videos!
No! Get our creep on!
Get our creep on.
Right. It's time to...
Get our creep on!
Woo! Let's go!
Let's go.
Yeah.
That way.
That way. So to begin, I started off with a piece of string and I just wrapped that around my neck to measure how long the prosthetic needed to be in order to make it long enough to wrap around my neck and hide the tubing. So we're just starting off with a big old hunk and glob of clay, and we're going to smooth out those edges, and we're just going over it with various rig tools to remove the excess clay and to really thin out that prosthetic because we don't want it to be too thick. Typically with prosthetics you want them to be as thin as possible while still allowing them to get the detail that you want. So this is a pretty easy basic prosthetic, so we just want enough detail to show that it's a slice in our throat, but it doesn't have to be too thick because if you had a big thick prosthetic on your neck then that would make it obvious that it was fake. So now we're just using various rig tools to really smooth out the clay, and now I'm going along the edges and removing the excess clay there so that it kind of forms a little ramp from the skin to the prosthetic so that the edges will be smooth and blendable. So you want the edges to be as thin as possible so that they'll basically disappear into the skin. And now I'm just using more rake tools and removing the excess clay. And we're ready to put our slash in. So I'm just using this pointy tool and dragging a line in it, and then I drug it in again and it gave this little messy clay on the inside, but I kind of liked that because when I take the lighter fluid and thin it out, it's going to look like fatty tissue, so I left that in there. So now I'm taking some naphtha, which is essentially lighter fluid, and I'm using that to really clean up this clay and to take away the sculpted look of the clay. And now I'm going through with my texture stamp and just putting some more skin texture back into that, and going through and alternating between my texture stamp and the naphtha. And now I'm going through with this piece of plastic, which is a 7-Up wrapper, and using that to etch some skin line wrinklage detail into the skin, into the prosthetic, because if you look at your skin you have all these little micro lines that you can see, so I'm using that to put those lines kind of into the clay to make it look more realistic. Once you get the prosthetic to your liking, you are ready to build your clay walls and to mix up some Ultracal. So you just mix Ultracal with water, stir that up, and then pour it on the prosthetic, and then I kind of knock it around to get out any bubbles. And then you wait about an hour or two for it to harden, and you're ready to peel off the clay. And once you have your finished mold, you're ready to pour your latex in to create your prosthetic. So I just pour it in and make sure the edges are smooth. And once that dries, you pull out your prosthetic and you're ready to go. So here's our finished prosthetic, and we're ready to apply this puppy. So we're starting off by applying some glue to our neck, and this is Prosaide. It's a medical grade adhesive. It becomes sticky once it turns clear. So once it goes from white to clear, you're ready to put on your prosthetic. But before I do that, I'm applying the hose that the blood is going to come out of. So I'm just applying the hose, taping that down, and then putting some glue on top of that so that the prosthetic can stick to the hose. But yeah, so this tubing is going to be hooked up to a garden sprayer, and Once you press the garden sprayer, it'll make the blood shoot out of the tubing, and you're gonna have your slit throat effect. Then you're gonna wanna put some glue onto your prosthetic. Once it dries, you can stick that to your neck and try to unfold any edges, make sure those edges are as smooth as possible. And then I'm applying some Prosaide to the outside of those edges to ensure that they're gonna stick. And then I'm just having my brother tape down the back of the prosthetic and the tubing there to make sure that it holds and it doesn't come undone when the blood's trying to like squirt out. Better safe than sorry. That's what I always say. And now we're just taking some Bondo, which is Prosaide mixed with Wacker Fumed Silica, to really hide those edges a bit better. So this is kind of like a thick paste that you can brush over the edges, and you kind of want to drag it from the skin to the prosthetic so that it forms a little ramp and it really hides those edges. Once that dries, you can powder it with baby powder and you're ready to start applying your foundation. So I'm just using my normal skin foundation that I used on my face to hide these edges, and I apologize for the babies who are now climbing on me like I am a jungle gym. But we're just taking our normal brush we use for our foundation and putting that all over all the edges. You don't actually need to put any color into the wound because the wound is going to fill with blood. You can, but it's an unnecessary step. And most of the versions that I've seen do not. Probably could if you wanted to, but I didn't. And there you have your finished look. You're ready to spurt blood from your neck like a geyser. And all clean, for the most part. But I was in the shower and I remembered I forgot to record the outro for this video, so here you go. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and leave any comments for looks you might want to see below. And remember to keep it creepy.